Namaste, namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining this evening and for the episode 11 of Ahhaa Talk. And we have someone who is a very dear friend, well-wisher of Ahhaa, and an amazing, amazing individual who has impacted many lives. And here is Dr. Aravind Chinchure. Welcome so much, Dr. Aravind. Thank you coming to this Ahhaa Talks and adding value to this journey that we do every week and being able to bring about a correlation between mindset and different fields of life. So welcome so much. Before we get started, I'd love to share with all of you a little bit about Dr. Aravind, and there's much, much more, but in the short time, Dr. Aravind, he holds a PhD in physics. He has an experience spanning 25 years in R&D, innovation, intellectual property, startup incubation, venture investment, and the list goes on and on. And currently, he's the CEO of QLeap Academy, which is focused on creating 21st century professionals and leaders in the areas of Industry 4.0 and innovation. And he has been truly impacting various organizations. He's been associated with various universities around the world as a research scholar, as an industry research professional, ranging from Oxford, University of Oxford to MIT. And I'm only kind of covering a very short amount of the long list of universities that he's been working with. He continues to work with from Europe, America, Canada, India, much, much more. And he's very actively engaged in several national and international organizations. And the journey continues on and on. He has also received Exceptional Leaders of Excellence Award from the Women Economic Forum and Innovation Excellence Award from the Indira Group of Institutions. He has authored various research articles. And well, bottom line is it doesn't stop. And Dr. Aravind is known only to impact and bring positive value, whether it is an individual or an entrepreneur or a large size company or university. And we have had the opportunity of interacting with him at a personal level for the last many years. And we had invited him to come on this Ahhaa Talk, and he very graciously agreed to take out time and share a few insights with us. So thank you so much, Dr. Vinji.
Thank you, Ashwin. This is such a pleasure. I can't tell you, the how can I express the gratitude and your graciousness to invite me to such an important session. It's also special, Ashwin, because when I was looking at other speakers of the session, you had Zach Williams, son of a legendary Robin Williams. Then you had two-time Olympian, Ms. Lemon. Then I saw another video, another session, which is an amazing session from Dr. Neeraj Mehta, an oncology or radiation oncologist from Miami, if I remember correctly. So great, lineup of speakers, and thank you to Diane and you for thinking about me and doing this session, from my side. Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Aravind, we are very, very, grateful that you're here with us as much as you, shared so much. And, as much as you're grateful, we're very happy to have you. And I've met you in India when I was there, and I'm happy to connect with you here, in these times. Dr. Aravind, this talk today, it's all about embracing change in the face of disruption. You are an advisor to both startups and big companies. What has been your guidance to them?
Let me start with something that I believe in, something which I have been practicing. Crisis brings tremendous opportunity. Of course, we can look at crisis from other side. It's a uncertainty. It's about managing cash flows, managing customers, managing talent, the people that you have in your organization. But other side, look at the possibility that exists, the opportunities that exist in the time of crisis. So sometimes I say that at least in India, um, people thrive on crisis. Or there is a crisis, there is a challenge, um, then people will become more creative, more innovative, and to manage to embrace that change and win at the end of this change. Let me tell you some statistics. You will be you'll be surprised that 50% of the Fortune 500 companies in 2009, in that 2009 year 2009, half of them were either started before the crisis, during the crisis, or immediately after the crisis. And some companies that I can just name is, for example, General Electric, or say Google, and HP and Uber, for example. All these companies started and navigated or managed that crisis. In fact, companies like Airbnb, leveraged the crisis to build a startup. So, and this, I was giving the year 2009 just because Kaufman Foundation did a study after 2008 crisis. So this is about the past. Uh, I'm looking at other startups and closely associated with those startups within India and outside. And I see that some of the startups have done amazingly well. Let me share one example of a startup. It's an insurance tech company, again based in India, based in Pune. When crisis hit, first thing the founder did was he sent a beautiful letter or email to the entire staff. And what that email communicated was that you are safe, we are there to take care of you, and be comfortable, and let's handle and deal and manage that change. And you'll be surprised that during this crisis, when employees felt that comfort, that safe feeling that they're not going to lose the job, their productivity was very high. In fact, he says that the productivity during a pre-crisis, when normal was say X, this was more than X. It's amazing to see that even productivity has increased. Then of course he went on to comfort clients. Then he started building new products because he had a one platform. He said now because of the crisis, companies need other products, so he created the products. And in fact, he started even promoting the company. Earlier he was not promoting. So this is just an example, but I can give more and more example from both large and small companies. So crisis helps startups and organizations.
No, it's beautifully said. Thank you so much for that. There are two types of mindset, Dr. Aravind. One of it that you just explained, that when there's crisis, we see opportunities from that. But then there's another mindset that when there's crisis, we kind of curl up and feel like everything has been lost and everything is gone. And I'm sure that you are seeing both. You're seeing the ones that are, arising to the occasion, and the ones who feel that there's no other level up for them and there's nowhere to go, and either they crumble, crash, and feel very overwhelmed. How do we, or what advice can you share with those, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're a mid-sized company, small-sized company, or a company who's scaling already, and then this happened to them, and they feel like, wow, it's done for them. What advice can you give them in terms of mindset, or how to actually perhaps tap in to the ones who are very optimistic in the crisis?
So this is my experience. My experience is that organization, whether you call it startups or large company, mid-sized company, they are living organizations. Of course, some companies have made it non-living. That's a different thing, and they will anyway. They will go decline, and they may not even remain in the next decade or so, or next few years. So organizations are living organizations because the organizations are run by people like you and me. And now, where does this agility and resilience comes from? So, in fact, recently I was giving a webinar on the topic of entrepreneurial agility. So the companies who have been able to manage the change, embrace the change, and succeeding in the change are those companies who have this entrepreneurial agility. So, where does this come from? Entrepreneurial agility. It's all about the people, or for that matter, a leader. Because, say, for example, a startup, the founder and co-founder. So, how does founder and co-founder wants to look at the things and handle the situation? Of course, there are certain things which are not in our control. We know, we accept that reality, but there are many things which are in our control. And how do you now start looking at finding the opportunities on something which is in our control, whether it is working from home, or whether developing a new product, or finding the new customer, or the way you do the sales. I find very interesting innovation that has happened in connecting with the customer, remaining in touch with the customer. So that is something which happens as a response to the crisis. But I have seen very unique companies, by design, they have built in the entrepreneurial agility. I know one company, when crisis struck, it's a UK-based company, based out of Oxford, and they have an operation in China. And the first lockdown, or in the series of lockdowns, it was in China. And their entire factory, the manufacturing setup, operation had to be closed. But they had the technology to operate the entire manufacturing operations sitting from UK, or those employees who were in China working in the shop floor, they had to be quarantined in a hotel. And those employees who were quarantined in the hotel, they were operating their machines, managing the it's an amazing level of automation. So these are the companies who have built in that that agility within the organizations. And there are some companies and the leaders who manage. Now, when I say leader, it's about people. Now it all depends upon the way a person or a leader or set of leaders have been able to lead the organization, or for that matter, what has been their experience. For example, that someone has gone through different crises in life and knows that it is possible to manage those crises and come out very successfully. Those are the people who have built that resilience, and that resilience keeps them reinventing. And whether it is a large company, whether it's a small company, even a social organization. I work with a social organization called Swayam Shikshan Prayog, and they work in a small villages, and it's a women-driven leadership and entrepreneurship. It's a unique model. And the moment the crisis hit, they started working with the migrant people who are coming from all big cities to the villages, right from taking care of their health to their employment and many other things. So it's all about people. So organizations are living, and it's about people and their ability to manage and the experience of resilience and agility. I think that makes a very big difference to the companies.
Oh, beautiful, Dr. Aravind. You rightly said about it's people who create organizations, and you also very clearly elaborated about agility. And it's kind of very much connected to the next question, because we as people, we are often inclined to be set with a system at an individual level, system at a company. Okay, what time I'm going to have my coffee, what time I'm going to go for my walk, what time I'm going to, go for that meeting. From that individual level to a company level, where this is how we do business, this is how we have to be at the client side, this is how we travel, this is how we gather. So each and every bit of that has been thoroughly disrupted in the last few months. And mind finds it extremely difficult to adapt to change. The first thing the mind feels is feeling threatened, both at an individual level and at a systemic level when it is as an organization. So when one door shuts down and a new door is trying to open, or one avenue closes, a new avenue is trying to open, there are all kinds of conflict people have. A company has all kinds of conflict between profit and loss, paying salaries to their employees. Should I lay off my employees, or should I retain them, or should I somehow get through this, knowing that we're going to get on the other side very soon? So how do you see this agility, or rather a combination of agility and farsightedness coming about? Is it more an inside-out experience where there is one individual who champions that change? So what kind of culture helps people to get through this, and where is it all sourced?
So it's a great question, and the culture is built over a period of time. The values, the behaviors, they are built over a period of time within an organization. Now, who sets or creates those values? Again, of course, visionary leaders, they bring that culture. But in many organizations, I have also seen that it's a combination of people from at all levels, whether it is a multinational company, whether it's a small entity, or whether it's a startup. Startup is relatively easy because it's a small organization. You know each other. But imagine a company with, say, 50,000 employees, 10,000 employees. And what I'm seeing, Ashwin, is there is a big shift in the discourse about the leadership. In the past, leadership was all about, it was more, I would say, towards managing. Of course, you lead, but it was like, there are systems, there are processes, you hit people, you give the whatever stick, carrot, all this was the past. And the many organizations who imbibed that kind of a culture, they don't exist today, and many will die. And I know companies, I don't want to name those companies, but today, what is the conversation? What is the discourse with some of the top CEOs? I will just name a couple of them. Let's talk about leadership style of Satya Nadella. The kind of a conversation he has with the people, the kind of a culture that he has built. Imagine what the kind of a culture Microsoft had. It was highly monopolistic, and get and make things happen. Now here is a leader. He says, what matters to me is empathy. What matters to me is a growth mindset. What matters to me is a collaboration. What matters is a co-creation. It's about partnership. It's about growth mindset. And now, Satya Nadella, when he took over Microsoft, there's a beautiful book, Hit Refresh. He brings all these newer ideas, newer concepts within the company, and company embraces those values and look at what Microsoft has been able to achieve. Today, it is more than $1 trillion company with great revenues, and everywhere there is a example of Microsoft. Otherwise, Microsoft was declining. Now look at, if you see the videos of, say, LinkedIn CEO, he's talking about compassionate leadership. We never had this kind of a conversation, because for me, when I started my career, means manager or a leader means he has some kind of a stake and just says do it and everybody has to do it. And that's the mindset, that's the culture that comes from our past, because that's how the feudalistic or whatever you call, that comes from that culture, so but things have changed and things are changing now. What I'm saying is, in the book that I'm writing now, I'm saying that what is most important dimension of a leader and an organization, it's about all these things that I was talking about. It's about empathy, it's about mindfulness, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about co-creation, collaboration, inclusivity, equitability, equanimity, and that will make a big difference. And Ashwin, I will stop with one last thought. And this is why this is important, why we should be doing this, not just because everybody's talking and just Satya Nadella did it, Microsoft or some other LinkedIn is doing this, but look at where the world is heading. Today we are saying that machines are intelligent, are going to be intelligent than humans. See, we are moving towards a world where machines will become intelligent than humans. If humans remain where they are, which means that I have a flow chart, I execute that, I go to office at 9, do my work and go home at 6. That era is over. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence. In fact, Ashwin, we are talking about artificial consciousness. And I'm deeply trying to understand what that artificial consciousness is all about. But the world is moving that. Now, as a human, or if I want to differentiate with machines, otherwise, Professor Yuval Harari says that there will be a rise of class of useless people. Now, how do I ensure that I will not be useless because I'm doing the routine thing, because of my mindset, my culture, my past? So now I have to be better. I have to work with the machine. I need to differentiate with the machines. And what will that differentiation will be? That differentiation will be this part of the dimension that we're talking. It's about your emotions, emotional well-being, your awareness. Are you aware? Are you conscious? And these become very, very extremely important to differentiate possibly between machines and men or people, and or even work with the machines. So that's where the whole world is going. And I would say that this COVID crisis has made us to think, reflect on this as a humans. What are we doing? Where we want to head? How we want to lead our life, lead our planet. So it's a very interesting. Anyway, I get passionate about this, Ashwin. Please go ahead with your next question.
It is equally fascinating to listen, and these are subjects that we very passionately talk about very often. And I'm sure in our forthcoming discussions, we can especially talk about this by itself as a subject. And you're absolutely right. So there is this system, there is this journey that has been continuing, a mindset system. And so we often talk about this, that a shift can happen only two ways. One, you are consciously aware, or there is a total deadlock crisis where you have no other go, but you have to emerge out of it as a new person. And that's perhaps, as you rightly pointed out, what is happening right now, is the impact it's going to have on people's way of thinking and consciousness. As an individual, as an organization, is going to phenomenally change. So now, if we kind of bring it down to this experience of a single entrepreneur, a passionate individual who has a dream, who wants to do something, who has a vision. It's often said it's always a very lonely journey. The entrepreneur, he alone or she alone, they know what their passion is and how they feel when there are ups and downs. Now, for that kind of an entrepreneur during current times, and in the light of what is changing, as you rightly mentioned, what is going to truly distinguish between the human and the machine, there are there are few who lead, there are many who just follow. So how can an entrepreneur think and lead today that's going to help him or her to truly pivot in these changing times, and not just do what every other famous entrepreneur is doing, but to truly ask, how can I align what I'm doing with something that's going to add value? So how can he pivot, or how can she pivot in the right manner in the current times?
So there are two aspects to this question. The first is, as an entrepreneur, if you are doing this or you have chosen to become an entrepreneur just because that I see some great success stories in the world, and or for that matter, entrepreneurship sometimes has become a glamour. That's a one category of people I see that that they are into into this startup or in this journey just because this. The second is the category is those who know why they want to be an entrepreneur, and they know that this is going to be lonely, difficult, challenging journey. And there I saw many people who have prepared themselves for this journey. When I say prepared, is there are many things you need to unlearn, because the job, working in a company is a very, very different way, different mindset, and different way of thinking and executing and working. But as an entrepreneur, you have to first unlearn many things. What are those? I'll just illustrate as an example. Look at as a society, we are growing up. Growing up in which way? We are growing up as a students, as a professional. Is that I can't fail. Failure is not acceptable. It's a sin. Everything is doomed if I fail. For example, today, if I look at students, even if they get 90% marks, they're not happy. What is wrong with the society, or the way the upbringing is? And entire our education system does not allow us to question, does not allow us to experiment, does not allow us to experience and explore. And it's a single track. It's about the marks plus that. Now, this is what, as an entrepreneur, you have gone through that journey, and suddenly you want to become an entrepreneur, and then your upbringing or your mindset or your habits, your behaviors are in line with this. So therefore, step one for an entrepreneur, in fact, I'm designing a new course on entrepreneurship. How do we create high impact entrepreneurs? The first module that we have created at Flame University is that unlearn. So whatever you have experienced, whatever mindsets that you have developed, whatever behaviors, let's look at what are the traits, what are the what are some of the successful entrepreneurs have done, and how do we bring that? And that's where we talk about emotional intelligence, empathy. More. I mean, what we are talking about is emotional well-being, so that a person can go through that journey. Because every day can be a crisis. Handle all kinds of situations, but you know where you are heading. You have a purpose, and for that purpose, for that meaning, you are working, and mentally or emotionally, you are prepared to handle this. And that's where that is. But some entrepreneurs get it because they have good mentors, or they have gone through that crisis. They have built the resilience. They know that this is possible. And therefore, if you see, many startups today are given up already. Many have already given up. The reason is because of their ability to be agile, to be flexible, to manage. Of course, as an entrepreneur, you should know that there are certain things we control, there are certain things we can't control. For example, I have a product. I know there is no market because of this pandemic. Now, as an entrepreneur, I accept first that market for this product, there is no market. Now, one way to look at it is I stop my startup. Other way to look at it is now what else I can do based on my past experience, because I have an edge as an entrepreneur, and build the new products or a new solution, new services, so that you succeed in this crisis. And I can give a lot of examples. One side, there is in the news, there is a headline like startup graveyard. But I know there are many startups and companies there working. So as an entrepreneur, they have to first see whether they have the right traits, what kind of unlearning that they have to do. Are you prepared to do this? Suppose, for example, Ashwin, when you went on to that journey of a monkship, you have to mentally be prepared. It's not easy journey. It's easy to say that I aspire to become more spiritual. It's not easy. If you are prepared, you can handle. If you're not prepared, it's a very, very difficult and challenging journey.
Thank you for that, Dr. Aravind. We see this as entrepreneurs ourselves, right? That so many challenges come in our way, but how we face it, we realize that we face it because we talk a lot about this also at Ahhaa, that there are two things, right? They're having a vision and there's about having an ambition.
Yes.
And when you look at these two things of having a vision and ambition, those who are very ambitious, they'll take them to a certain point. But eventually when a pandemic like this strike or something strike, right, we kind of don't know how to go forward because we did not have a larger vision, or it is not really congruent with who we are. So today you'll find that so many people are finding opportunities out of a pandemic, but maybe not for the right reasons. Maybe it's just, oh, this is cool, I can do it, like you mentioned, right, before that, there is, it's an opportunity. I think I could do it. Maybe I'm in a tech world and I want to get it, but I really don't understand. I don't live and breathe this. So as an entrepreneur, how important it is, whatever you are going to choose in your life to represent or to solve in this world, how important it is that you live and breathe this. And it's not just something that is an ambition to us. Because I think that is really going to help us to take us, build that resilience that we talk about.
Absolutely. Building an organization is, of course, we have founders and co-founders or set of individuals, but it is about having right kind of people, a right kind of skill set, right kind of a mindset, and right kind of systems and processes, or understanding of that business. So how some of the startups have been able to navigate this pre-crisis, during the crisis, post-crisis. Of course, as an entrepreneur, let's assume that someone has a great product, great solution that market demands. We know there is a market. We know there is a demand. You have done all the validation and everything. But still, we are not able to succeed, or sometimes we are not able to enter into the market and succeed. Sometimes as the founders, I see that they want to do everything by themselves. But remember that it's a business, or it's something which requires you to, one side, build the technology, build the company, lead the company, also work with the customer, sell. There is an entire value chain that exists. So for that, I have seen that the most successful entrepreneurs, most of them, they did not have everything with them. But what they did was, immediately they created or added more team members as the co-founders. Suppose, for example, I'm great techie. Now I can get somebody who can be a business development, someone who understands the business side of it. So that's the one level. Second level is what they have been able to do is have right kind of mentors, right kind of advisors. I think this is something which is extremely important, because particularly those first-time entrepreneurs, they have to go through a lot of learning, and to avoid challenges, create that whole ecosystem around you, so that each one will ensure that that they bring in their value, experience, expertise to ensure that the startup succeeds. And I can give you many examples. The insurance tech company that I was talking about, Metamorphosis, if I look at two founders, one founder is a business development, hardcore business development. He understands the customer side. How do I sell? Other one, his name is Amit. Other one is Keval, who is a hardcore techie. He's an architect. He can build most complex products in the world, and they have this experience. And that combination with the right set of people, things work. So as an individual, we may not have everything, but do I have prepared all this, that ecosystem for my startup to succeed? And then when you say that ambition versus the passion, the purpose, so living it or breathing it, what it means that you become a magnet. So you bring people together because you're living it. You're so purposeful, so that, and you're talking about that impact, that or the change that you're going to bring, that becomes a magnet. But if it is pure that, okay, I'm going to make a company, make a product, exit with $1 billion, believe me, nobody, perhaps there will not be many people. And such entrepreneurs generally don't, or mostly don't succeed.
So much our audience can learn from you, Dr. Aravind. Dr. Aravind, what has been your personal journey as an entrepreneur, mentor, author, and how do you find your grounding and clarity to take the right steps in the right direction?
So this is very, very interesting, and generally I have not shared, the way I was brought up and where I was brought up and what has been my journey. So, and why I'm doing certain things today. So what makes that, makes me to do this. So I was born in a small town, very small town. And my father was a teacher, resource constrained. I mean, hardly we had resources. Perhaps, if I remember back then, we were living in, say, 200, 300 square feet of a house with 6 people, 7 people. But my father, he was a visionary. He was a teacher. He was a visionary. He knew how to bring us and make us a good citizen or good human being. So I started my schooling very early, maybe 3.5 years or something, 3 or 4 years. So by the time I was not even 13, 14, I was already 10th. And then we shifted to a larger town. And in that, it was like a junior college, a pre-undergrad senior school. So 11th and 12th. 11th I was a good student, and 12th, I still remember that in the month of March, my exams were somewhere in 18th March or so, and something traumatic thing happens. I will not go into that, but I would say that we could have been burnt live. So, I have seen what death means as a child. Of course, we moved out of the house because, of course, we were new to that particular town. And but I will tell you, Dan, that as a child, though it was very traumatic, it's very traumatic. We missed the death. Is that the one thing that that was that really shaped me was being compassionate. So now there was a choice that I could have been angry, I could have been frustrated, I could have been even felt victimhood. But one thing that I learned as a child was compassion, being compassionate, because the whole episode was not something which is good. So I said, if perhaps all of us would have had compassion, things would not have happened. Compassion towards people, towards animal, towards planet. So that was where did that come? Because when I was child, I used to, of course, read a lot. I mean, I grew up in a place where there were a lot of temples, dargahs, bastis from different religions. And as a child, I used to read all kinds of scriptures. Of course, I did not know what I'm reading. I used to read mythology. When I used to read Puranas just by myself. I will just go to the temple and just read. I go to Basti, I will just listen. I just chant. At that time, I did not realize that what is being, uh, you know, uh, what kind of a nurturing that is happening to me as an individual, because I knew at that time what is good, what is bad. That whole thing, the foundation was being built as a human being. And what happened is that when such thing happens in your life, you don't get angry, you don't get want to do something which is negative. Those emotions, negative emotions, what came out is a compassion. That's, and how do we build that? But that is not something which that's something which is traumatic. But I failed in 12th exam. Imagine, an aspiring, ambitious, someone who wanted to become something, had a dream, my own dream, and that dream just collapsed because I could not attend the school. Did not have a book. I did not I had books. People used to invite me for breakfast or lunch. That's how. And that failure taught me a lot. So what I'm trying to come to is today, whatever I do, I'm doing multiple things. But one thing that is my thing is bringing that compassion in people, making world better, or making society better. What is it that I can do towards this? Whether I do my entrepreneurship startup, whether I work in education, so everything is associated with that experience. And that failure, for example, and then many other things that I did in my life, sometimes I will share that with you, that made me more resilient. That gave me a purpose in life, that gave me the meaning for life, that I could connect with the people. And so now I'm on a journey to create 21st century professionals and leaders. The journey originates from there. I was telling you about why emotional well-being is very important. Because today, if I look at in the cities, our children are growing very protected environment. And as the parents, as a society, we don't want them to go through the difficult thing. In fact, we are actually making them disabled people. For me, I feel that more protected you are towards your children, you are making them more and more disabled. Because imagine, can we ever imagine that corona crisis will come? None of us had, even in our dream or in anywhere we could think of. Now, those children, for example, the kind of life they go through, the kind of a nurturing that happens, the kind of a mindset or habits or behaviors, values that gets built during your childhood, that makes them different, and that makes them so for this. So for example, this crisis, I see around me there are many people who are there are a lot of anxiety. They are going through their own mental and issues. They are fearful. But today I can handle this crisis just because I have seen worst crisis in life I've seen. So for me, first 1 or 2 days were anxious. Uncertainty, what is happening? But since then, I am at peace. Truly, I'm at peace. I'm more productive. I'm thinking about how do I solve migrant problem? How do I solve nation's skilling problem, world problem? And in fact, finding some solutions, seeding that thought. Recently, I shared one of my thoughts in one of the sessions at MIT. One of the institutes in MIT had organized a global conference. There I said, how do we now handle migrant problem? How do I ensure that the skewed economic development that has happened in India, for example, Western and South India is more economically developed. The rest of the India is not developed. How do we handle this? Can we convert this into a big opportunity? So that's what I'm trying to say is that it's your childhood. It's about and particularly till your adolescent, what kind of a values that you nurture, habits and behaviors and mindsets. That's where the things really establish, and that. So I have no negative thoughts today. I never allow those negative thoughts to come, even during my corporate journey. I don't know how much time I have, but I will take 1 or 2 minutes, perhaps more. Many times we see that people are unfair to you. Now, how do I handle this? Maybe unfairness is a subjective. Maybe from manager's point of view, it may not be unfair. But from my side or others, they said it's unfair. In fact, whenever I felt that feeling that people are unfair to me, my practice was every day for next, say, 1 or 2 years or 3 years, first thing I used to pray is thank that person. Because if someone I think is unfair, which means is God is telling me something, that you have better things to do, you have better thing. So that really has helped me. So no bitterness. So anyway, I can tell more insights perhaps in other sessions. Yes. So these are some of the practices that I follow.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm sure, I'm sure everyone is enjoying it. We're enjoying this discussion because it's all about what we really teach and how, we kind of, especially, in kids, right? That those years are so important, helping our children build the resilience, the mindset to really create in them as human beings, how they're going to show up in the world tomorrow. And, when you're speaking, I was just kind of imagining those values that we've been putting into my kids, Bianca and Joshua, and how we've been building them since they were young. So I'm happy to hear from you and hear that, it's your childhood and the experiences you had and your horrific experiences, but you use them in a positive way and you build that resilience. Thank you for sharing that.
Awesome. No, thanks, Dr. Jen. It was very touching. Thanks for sharing that. And each life story is so unique and real and alive that when you actually hear it out, it just goes deep into your heart. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Hey, I think in the light of your journey, it'll be great, Doctor, if you want to share a little bit about your book that's coming out soon and what is it that you are bringing out to the world.
Ashwin, that was one of my, dream, to write a book. The first book that I'm writing currently is about why some organizations succeed, why some organizations don't succeed, what makes that organization to succeed. So what are the different factors that influence that success or a failure? And this is based on I looked at my own journey, corporate journey. After my research in Netherlands, my first corporate job was in GE. And today, GE, 1.5 years back, if you see the headlines, there's a huge fall of a GE. GE, a legendary company, $600 billion valuations and all kinds of things. Today, it's in a bad shape. Then, of course, I built a startup, and during that startup, I was serving Microsoft as a client. And you see the journey of Microsoft. Under Bill Gates, it was just rising and rising, very successful company. And under Steve Ballmer, it started declining. And here is a Satya Nadella. We never had even heard him, in the industry, and he just transforms and brings back that growth trajectory in Microsoft. That's a rise and fall and rise. Then I worked in Honeywell, and what I see in Honeywell is it's stagnant. It's a 130-year-old company. It remains as it is. Doesn't change as far as revenues are concerned. Of course, it has done well in terms of market valuation. Of course, it has dropped. Now I'm asking very fundamental questions. Even then I worked at Reliance Industries, and look at what Reliance has been able to achieve. It just continues to grow exponentially. And today's news, it says that it is top 50 company in the world with $170, $180 billion valuation. year back, $70-80 billion valuation. And again, started very humbly. In last 40 years, the journey has been phenomenal. So I'm just now, after that, I'm working with so many other companies. So I'm just trying to ask this very fundamental question: why did GE fell so rapidly, so fast, and why company like Reliance is growing? So that's the message. So it's my own perspectives, how organization should be, how leadership should be, and how talent should be grown. And therefore, one most important component that I have discovered is about emotional well-being, or the culture of the organization that matters a lot.
Great, great, great. Thanks, Dr. I'm sure it's going to be a great book. I do remember in our one-to-one conversations you have shared with me, and looking forward to the launch soon. So, no, thank you so much, Dr. I think you have shared a lot of keen insights that thought-provoking, that we can kind of always listen back and truly begin to embed in our thinking and actions. And I'm sure a lot of viewers who would continue to gain that even as they're listening to it live, and if they happen to listen to it again over and over again. So truly grateful, Dr. Anuj, taking out this time and sharing these insights with us. And we would love to invite you back into these Ahhaa talks again in the future. Perhaps we'll have you as a very regular featured guest, and keep sharing value with all our listeners, because we have all kinds of people who have a passion in their own life, and they subscribe to Ahhaa for every kind of a mindset building exercise. And definitely what you've shared is going to add value in that front. So
thank you. Thanks a lot, Ashwin. Thanks, Diane. So this has been a wonderful experience. Some of the things I had never shared about my life. Very few people know that I have gone through this journey and also failed in the exam, in the 12th exam, but that has not ever stopped me to achieve whatever I wanted to do. So thanks for bringing out that dimension of a personal life and everything. So that can happen only with you and I, so it doesn't happen otherwise. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, just listening to you, we've gained a lot as well, and I'm sure everyone listen and will listen in the future, because this is, going to continue repeating everywhere, that they're going to gain so much out of it. And thank you so much. Is there a date for your book to be released?
I can only share that only recently I have taken this book project very seriously, thanks to COVID pandemic, because now I'm at home. Earlier I used to travel like 2 to 3 weeks in a month. The mind space and time I did not have. There are many other things, but now this pandemic has made me, to be at home, and I find it, best time to write.
When it's finished and it's released, all again, happy to read it.
So maybe 2 or 3 months from now, So let's hope. Thanks for this. Yeah.
Good, Dr. Aravind. Thank you so much. So as a regular practice towards the end of this Ahhaa talk, we just hold a space of meditation together. Just wishing the best for us and all the people around. We're all breathing and living every single moment. So we're just going to send some positivity to all of them. So it'd be great if you can just join us for the next few seconds, and I'll just guide everyone through.
Yes.
Thank you, viewers, for taking out this time, and I hope you gained some immense insights from Dr. Aravind. Here's a person who speaks his heart and comes from immense life experience, professional experience, being able to merge it all and truly give those valid insights in a nutshell so that we could take it back home. I hope you could gather it, and you're most welcome to again, of course, listen back as frequently as you wish. And so we're again grateful for this opportunity, as always, to be able to spend this time with all of you. So towards the ending, it'll be great if we can all hold this space of meditation, of spending time with our inner being, If all of us could take a comfortable position wherever we are, and for the next few moments, really take this time out for yourself, truly connect with yourself, and from there, connecting with all else around us. So just feel comfortable wherever you're seated. Keep your eyes closed or open as you wish. Let us just begin with recognizing this present moment. The best place to begin is any of our sensory experience. It could be the sense of sound, sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of taste, any sense that comes to you. That you want to pick up right now. Just bring attention to that particular sense. Listen to every minute sound. It could be my talking. It could be sound of the road or cars going outside or in your own home, sound of the fan or the AC. Just bring attention to all of that. Just settle down for a few moments. As we are paying attention to our sensory experience, let us all now slowly bring our attention to our breathing. This incredible gift of breathing, being able to inhale and exhale every single moment of our life, that allows us to be alive on this planet and live this beautiful life. As we always say in all our Ahhaa talks, we might or we might not remember all the time that we are breathing, but our breathing remembers us every single moment without fail. The breathing process automatically keeps continuing so that we could be alive, live, see, feel. Just bring attention to that process of breathing. The sensation near your nostrils, the cold air entering your nostrils and the warm air coming out. Just take in deep, slow inhalations and exhalations. Every time you inhale and take in nice cold air, slow and deep, let us imagine you're inhaling in all the clarity, all the peace, all the happiness, and all the compassion. Inhale in all the clarity, peace, happiness, and compassion. And every time you exhale out, imagine you're exhaling out all the conflict, all the pain, all the fear, all the struggle in us. Inhale in all the clarity. Exhale out all the conflict. Inhale in all the compassion. Exhale out all the struggle and pain. Inhale all the good. Exhale all the pains. Experience this process of breathing in and breathing out the next 3 to 5 times, slow and deep. Visualizing these beautiful qualities filling our heart as we inhale, and all the burden and struggle leaving us as we exhale. This process of breathing in and breathing out. And let us all slowly bring both our hands and place it on our heart region. Just bring both your hands and place it on your chest, the center of your chest, your heart region. Feel your heart. Let us all take this deep intent together in us. You could repeat in your own minds after me. You don't have to tell it out loud, but in your own minds you can repeat after me this deep incantation, this deep intent. I'm going to do all it takes. I'm going to do all it takes in me to live a clear, happy, compassionate life. I'm going to do all it takes in me. I'm going to do all it takes in me to live a clear, happy, compassionate life. I'm going to do all it takes in me to help others live a clear, happy, compassionate life. I'm going to do all it takes in me to help others live a clear, happy, compassionate life. As we tell this to ourselves, the process has begun, and it's only going to get deeper and deeper by the moment, by the day, every day, all life. Just continue to bear this intent as often as you can every day. And that intent will transform into greater and greater reality for ourselves and the people around and the world at large. This beautiful place of intent, just fully feel it. You can gently bring down your hands. Again, take in a couple of deep and slow inhalations and exhalations. Simply feel this moment. Take in this moment. Own this moment. Let this moment get anchored, edged in your hearts forever. That beautiful space. And gently open your eyes when you wish. Thank you once again, Dr. Aravind.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you very much. Thanks. Time. Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Well, see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.